Hello, Yakri here with another Dominions 5 video. So I've had a request to talk about Middle Age Ermor, their expansion, and how to play them. Hopefully this won't be too long a video unlike the one on Shiniyama because, how to put it, Ermor isn't exactly an easy nation, but they don't recruit any troops, which actually simplifies things quite a bit. As you can see here, the troop line, there's nothing. Commanders, there's nothing. There's a little bit to talk about here in that this does tell you a little bit about the specialty of the nation, which is that they're undead. Their units spawn automatically. You don't have to deal with recruiting them. And their commanders are summoned using gems. So they don't use the normal economy at all, except for building forts and temples, which is quite valuable, but it's worth noting that for the most part you don't need gold. Okay, so they've got quite a good pretender selection, but which ones you can actually use is a bit limited because you need a awake or dormant. Dormant's probably a bad idea, but theoretically you could do it. Pretender with at least Death 3 magic. The reason being that they can't summon their own best death mages without a pretender like that. The other option would be to empower a mage for like 60 gems or something to be able to do it, which is an option, but it's a pretty bad one. Not very well advised. So what I've done is I've looked at a few different pretender options for the nation. I don't think I saved my Master Lich version, but so Ermor free spawns sacred units, right? And they're not very good sacred units, but you get them for free, and you can get fairly large numbers of them. And then you can also summon 2 additional types of sacred units fairly expensively, but they're also those are quite good. So getting a bless can be kind of helpful, but none of your mages are sacred. So that creates a sort of a weird problem for you because big chunks of your bless will be wasted, and in Dominions 5 you can't really go all in on a bless. In Dominions 4 you could have taken a Nature 9 bless, which would have given your units a lot more hit points and also given them regeneration. Now you can get regeneration through death magic, but that's a big but, your Sacred Cavalry only have 6 hit points starting out, and your other Sacred units only have 20 hit points. And I say only, 20 is quite good, but they need 21 hit points in order to benefit from a next tier of regeneration, so that they regenerate 3 hit points per turn. So you're in a very awkward position, and I think the most value blesses you can get are ones that increase your base protection in some way, and ones that increase how much your units are going to be able to kill things. But overall, I don't think we want to emphasize the bless. I think we want to pick up a pretender, and because of the nature of how blesses work now, we'll get useful magic pads, and then take what blesses we can get out of those useful magic pads. Now, I've looked at a few options, some of which I'm just going to show off as like an example of something neat you could do, and others are more useful. So like this, for example, is more of a neat thing, right? So this is the Mymercellian, and this guy is one of the most murderous expansion pretenders you could possibly take. It's virtually unstoppable. I mean, it has Berserk 5 on top of 22 protection, so it's going to go up to like, I can't remember what the fall off is exactly on protection, but it's going to go up to like 26 protection when he goes Berserk, and he's going to have like 20 attack skill, and then he's also I've splashed him into a few different magic pads, so he's got some Undying. It's not super useful to this guy, but most importantly is Recuperation. This guy's going to have Recuperation, which means he'll recover from afflictions, which normally he wouldn't do. And since he can kill his way through like arbitrary amounts of province defense like this, it's fairly useful battle magic paths and won't become crippled over time. This is a very powerful pretender to have at the beginning of the game. So the purpose of taking this in a multiplayer game or in a versus AI game would be to, well, in a multiplayer game you'd scare people off, basically. You say like, you let them see your Mymercellian and you're like, all right, look, you know, until you get powerful battlefield magic, this is going to be able to kill, like, especially if he's supported by your own troops, like hundreds of enemy units, right? He's got Reinvigoration, he doesn't have a lot of encumbrance, he's got a huge amount of hit points, huge amount of protection and resistances and stuff. He's got a Fear Aura. This guy is going, and he goes Berserk, so he's not going to retreat. This guy will go kill through a huge amount of units, and if you get like Earth Magic or Alteration 3 by the early game, you can cast Iron Skin, and well, it's actually not that useful on this guy. Okay, so maybe you don't bother with that, but you could get I think Enchantment gives you personal regeneration. And if this guy can cast personal regeneration on himself before he goes Berserk, he's going to be an absolute monster. Death Magic also Splashing into Death Magic will let him Soul Vortex, which is incredibly brutal. If you're not familiar, the spell drains life from units in an AoE around the person who cast it, and that restores fatigue and health, which means that you won't get fatigued out, you won't die from losing hit points unless you lose them in a big burst, and there's just no way someone's going to do that to this guy. And you could be casting that with regeneration, with summon earth power, and you could easily have like almost 30 protection and regeneration 10%, which is going to, you know, regen you like 11, 12 hit points per turn, and then you're also going to heal from Soul Vortex. That's ridiculously strong in the early to mid game. So Soul Vortex is a little bit harder to get to, by the way. So that's what the guy's for. He just kind of bullies people. There are other options, but I think that might be the meanest one. The downside, of course, is that Recuperation is completely useless for all of your sacreds. Actually, like out of the stuff, whoops, my bad. I have to click back into this. So out of the stuff I took on this guy, I think very little. Let's see. Withering Weapons, Undying, Attack Skill will be useful for your units, and that's about it. Superior Morale does nothing, Recuperation does nothing, Reinvigoration kind of helps, but not really. And even Withering Weapons isn't that great. I guess it would be pretty okay on your Cavalry, but it's a bit weak. This is really, I'm not even 100% sure this is the best option. Maybe taking Undying over and over again, or mixing it up a bit and getting 6 death magic for like Stygian Flesh. But it's kind of nice on some really tough units. It'll add in some extra fuckery. Let's see. So this is another option, and this is something I thought of for maybe doing a heavy bless option, right? So you've really tanked your scales here. I haven't talked about what scales Ermor wants, but yet. But suffice it to say, this is not what you want. You're only going to care about magic and luck, and you'd like to have positive magic or neutral magic and 3 luck. And so you've gone down to -3 magic and 2 luck. This is pretty bad, and he's dormant as well, so you're not going to be able to summon your better mages early on. You're going to have to wait. And you won't even get the effects of this bless early on. You'll just stockpile your sacred units. The upside is that with flaming weapons, your units are going to be extremely murderous. Fire and shock resistant, not as useful as you might think, because it's mostly to counteract Barkskin. So the reason I took Barkskin, which is a bit of a weird pick here, is that it sets your natural protection to 10 on all of your units. Now you could get Stygian Flesh, but then you can't get Reforming Flesh. Furthermore, if you negate the 5 fire resist penalty that Barkskin inflicts on your units, which is pretty bad, if you negate that, it's better than Stygian Flesh because it's not ignored by magic weapons. Now, your Long Dead Horsemen have 0 protection, so this will put them up to like 25 protection, and your Lictors will go up to like a little over 20, like 22 or something, or 21 from this. And so this is, and you don't know what those are yet, but we'll talk about them later. This is very good together, and gives them regeneration. Blood Surge is, of course, very powerful if they can get that initial kill, which flaming weapons and the style of sacreds you have will ensure you do. And so they're going to be very difficult for ordinary troops to deal with. Magic will still deal with them fairly handily because they have low hit points, and they're just going to die in one hit and not be able to regenerate. But with all this protection, there's a good chance that they'll only get nicked for a damage point or 2 and then be able to regenerate it. Of course, Lictors have more hit points and it'll be less of a problem, and you can summon things like Wailing Ladies that will be very, very scary with all these bonuses. Major magic resistance and minor magic resistance combined, also very good. I believe it's 3 points of magic resistance. Undead or subject to banishment spells from priests, which can be very effective against them. So having some magic resistant undead is handy. I think that's actually a pretty sweet bless to pick up. And then, of course, the scales this guy has. Blood magic is mostly terrible, except for the fact that it gives you some cross-path stuff that's neat. However, 5 astral, super good. Actually, all of these paths are super good. Without going into too much detail, you would like to have all of these. Earth 5 is a little bit excessive. You only really need Earth 4. Fire 6, again, a bit excessive. You only really need like Fire 5, I think, to get all the sweet stuff you'd like in Fire. Now, a lot of these mages are going to have Death 7, and that's because you actually would like to have Death 7. You could build boosters, but you'd rather not, and higher base pathing is going to help you out for a variety of reasons. Alright, so now let's talk about some of the things I recommend more. So this is like, if you really want to do a bless, this guy's an example of something you could do. If you really want to have an early combat pretender to protect you, this guy's an example of something you could do, and it's a little more forgiving of a build. Now this, oh, I did it again. Wait, no. I keep, oh fuck. All right, you know what? We'll just go into game with this. I'll talk about it. I keep left clicking instead of right clicking. I'm an idiot. All right, so this is an example of a pretender I would actually consider using. Or not necessarily consider, I would consider using any of these. I did consider using any of these. This is the commander I would kind of recommend as like something I think is a good idea, probably. So this is, I think, what have I done with this? This is, okay, so the Bless is mostly terrible. Your Blessed troops aren't going to be that great. They're just going to be a little bit more elite troops. I wouldn't focus on them, but you get some of them for free, so that's kind of nice. I've given them Stygian Flesh, so that's invulnerability 10. Excuse me, which is pretty nice. What was the word I'm looking for here? It's going to be very good versus non-magic weapons on your sacreds. With Undying 4, it bumps up their hit points quite a bit. Fire, shock, and magic resistance means that for a lot of evocations, you may be able to just shrug them off, which is going to be nice to have on your sacreds. But overall, we're kind of ignoring your sacreds, actually. We're going to be focusing on your Pretender as a source of big pathing to cast magical spells, and we've gotten scales we would really like. So, in this case, scales we would really like, it means Turmoil, Sloth, because we don't recruit units, we don't care about those. Cold 3, because we're playing Undead, and we don't care about the cold. Death 3, because we don't care about, or because we actually take a penalty for going anything less than Death 3, and well, it makes a relatively minor difference. Like, Death 3 is negative 0.6% population on each of your provinces every turn, right? Now, that might sound like, oh, it's terrible. I mean, growth has the same amount as a bonus, and it's actually very huge and adds up to a lot of income over time. Well, Ermor's candles reduce the population of your provinces by 5% per candle, so at like 4 Dominion, that's 20% per turn. So everything's going to die in your Dominion very rapidly, and this has like almost no impact whatsoever. Luck, of course, is basically the only way you're going to get any money. It's absolutely essential for this nation, so that's why you've got luck. Magic is because there are certain research goals for this nation which would allow you to win the game. So taking Drain is a very serious penalty for you. Taking Magic is a very serious bonus. However, this is somewhat offset by the fact that you don't get very many mages, so there's only so much you can benefit from taking Magic because you can't spam mages like most of the nations that normally would care about Magic scales. Okay, so let's talk about the start of the game now. No, let's talk about research first really quickly. So there's a really important spell for this nation, and it's going to make, if you play this in multiplayer, this is the reason everyone's going to kill you first, and why this nation is probably not viable in multiplayer for the most part, especially coming down before it was a more powerful nation, I think, and so it was a little bit more of an option. So this does exactly what it says. All troops and commanders everywhere in the world age faster, and it does like a special event that causes people to become diseased and crippled and stuff, and all the population in the world starts dying. This is extremely bad for everyone except you in this age. I don't think there are any other nations that can really ignore it. I believe some of the elf nations it doesn't affect as much. However, everyone in your game is going to want to kill you, and this is because if they take too long to kill you, their economies will become crippled and they won't be able to fight back against you, and you'll inevitably win. This is also why you want a mage with high death pathing. It only takes, what is that, 5 death? Yeah. 5 death to cast. However, there's a bonus to the gems invested per point past 5 your caster is, so death 7, death 9, even death 10 potentially could be useful for casting this spell more powerfully, and you also want to invest a ton of gems into it. I'd say like 150 gems would be great to put into this, maybe 200. The more you cast it with, the less likely it is that anyone will be able to dispel it, and yeah, with your death income, it should be fairly feasible to do that and to potentially recast it very quickly if someone does manage to dispel it. So, what else do you care about besides that? Construction is fairly useful to you. Enchantment is fairly useful to you. There's spells like Ermorian Legion. I think this is actually okay value. 50 Long Dead Legionnaires for 15 Death Gems. It's okay. Not great, but okay. At level 6, and of course back at level 5, I think I've mentioned this for a lot of nations, Horde of Skeletons is an amazing spell. It's very good. It scales up for mages with more death pathing. It's good for your pretender to cast. It's good for your regular mages to cast. It's just fantastic in general. And you get some other useful spells on the way that are less worth mentioning. In Evocation, there's some stuff. I don't think you care about Evocation as much. Like, what is there? There's Nether Darts. You can cast Nether Darts, which feeble minds people. Everyone will be very mad at you when you feeble mind their commanders, which is great. I think the recurring theme in here is that people are going to be like pissed off that you're playing Ermor and try and kill you. Nether Bolt, that's an alright one too. Bolt of One Life, not bad. I don't think you can cast Bane. I don't remember if you get fire magic or not. We'll see when we summon some pretenders in a bit. Alright, so Alteration, less useful stuff, but for most of the pretender options you could potentially take, you would love to have Alteration 3 because of Iron Skin, or actually, let's go back to there. Iron Skin, and if you got Air Magic Mist Form is very good. You've got a lot of potential to pick up some kind of super combatant as your pretender, and so there's good stuff in there. Oh yeah, that's right. Personal regeneration, level 2 enchantment, super value. Potentially, there are pretenders like the Mycelian where you could start the game and you could rush this and get them level 2 enchantment for personal regeneration, because you might like your pretender to sit in your capital for like 3 turns anyway. And then at that point where you've got personal regeneration, you can just kind of walk out here and kill everything, right? Like if you have a Mycelian with personal regeneration and he's got recuperation, there probably are some provinces that could kill him, but yeah, not a lot. Like, oh, maybe if you ran into like some heroes, or like secretly there's a deity in the province, you try and take a level 3 throne, something like that. Really dumb, like ultra dumb. But barbarians, anybody, pretty much anything, they're just gonna fuck off. They're not gonna be able to do anything. Okay, so let's how do we want to play this? Let's see. There's Revive Wailing Lady. I probably would never cast that. Lictorian Guard I might cast, actually. So we're going to go up to like Conjuration 3 because it's got some good stuff in it for every nation. We're going to drop, we're going to go Enchantment 2 just because it's nifty. And we might rush Thaumaturgy like just immediately with this nation. I'm not going to say it's the only option, but it's an option, certainly. And, oh yeah, this guy needs to become our prophet, and we end the turn. So what I'm going to do, and you don't have to do this necessarily, it's neat that we got an Arch Sensor. We'll have him go with the other guys and beat people up. There's actually a really overpowered hero you could potentially get on like turn 1. It's this guy who has immortality and like death 3. He can, especially, probably without a bless at all, but especially if you have a bless like, not like this, but like with regeneration, he can just go out and solo provinces just by himself. And that's why I say it's really OP. Basically, it gives you an expansion pretender for free. So if you're playing this in multiplayer, pray you get that, because I don't think this nation is super good in multiplayer right now, unless you play with people. It's makes like a diplomacy metagame, right? Because people don't like your nation for 2 reasons. One is that you might cast Burden of Time, and that's super bad for them, pretty much no matter who they are. And the other is that you kill everything you touch, right? So any provinces that come under your dominion in just a couple turns, like probably like 5 turns, and this is going to be a piece of shit that no one cares about anymore, right? You just ruin it for everyone else. And so when someone comes and kills you, the only thing they're going to get of value is the 10, or I think it's like now 9 gem income from your capital, right? So in Dom 5, like everyone's going to hate having you in the game, because if they take you out of the game, they aren't very well rewarded. And if they leave you in the game, they're punished, because leaving you in the game is super bad for them as you claim more territory and your dominion spreads out more, and it just gets worse the longer you're around. Not to mention that looming threat of Burden of Time. And in general, Ermor is a nation that gets quite good as they go into the mid-game. They get a lot of neat options, and you've probably got a pretender with great pathing like this that's going to give you a lot of flexibility, because you have so many free pretender creation points, even though you are kind of restricted to having an awake pretender. Okay, let's end the turn. Oh, I actually should have done something different that turn. I already had 20 death gems, so what I should have done is cast the ritual spell Revive Dusk Elder, and then on my pretender, I'm going to try and go out and attack. Now, there's something I should mention here. So I picked the Lich Queen. I'm not actually, I didn't actually mean to showcase the Lich Queen. I was going to do the Lich King, or the Lich Master Lich, but I forgot to change it over. The Master Lich, with most of the bless options you have available, will be able to expand. Not very well, but he'll be able to, right? With 5 Earth Magic, I think he has like a little bit higher combat skills and protection and more hit points than the Lich Queen. And so he's going to have like 30 or 40 hit points, and then like really good, like 20, closer to 20 protection on most of the builds you're going to do. And then with all these other nice bless stats, he's probably going to be able to go out and kill like these guys. Now maybe the Lich Queen still can kill these guys once your Dominion goes over there, and maybe she can't. The Master Lich definitely could though. And so he's not exactly a great expander, but you could potentially spend a couple turns expanding with him, which is really handy. And we're going to revive a sensor to lead more troops. Oh, did we get one for free? Or did I do that? I don't know. We either got this guy for free or I revived one and forgot what I was doing. If we did get him for free, what you would normally do about now is revive a sensor, because you want to have him go and lead these troops out, and then we're going to probably revive a priest after that. Actually, we'll do that now then. We're going to revive an acolyte because we need to build temples. Okay, we'll just end turn now though. So the reason we need to build temples is because... That's nice. These guys did okay. That's cool. Alright, so the reason you need to build temples is that you get 1 death gem per temple up to your Dominion score. It's really unfortunate that they said up to your Dominion score, because honestly, Ermor could use the higher scaling. I guess in some really large games it could get ridiculous where you're getting like 40 death gems per turn, but even if it was double your Dominion score, like 20 bonus death gems per turn, that still requires you to have 20 provinces and build temples on 20 provinces. It's very hard to defend. Anyway, so what you're probably going to do is whatever your Dominion score is, which I think I've taken like 5 or 6 for this game, you're going to build temples equal to your Dominion score, and then that's going to probably be at least 5, right? And so at 5 temples, your Dominion score goes up by 1. So then you can build 1 more temple. So if you have a Dominion score of 5, you can build 6 temples, right? And you'll get a death gem from each one. You'll probably end up building 10 temples and get 7 death gems per turn bonus from them. That's probably a good idea. If you have, and of course, if you have like 6, basically probably just build 10 temples no matter what, right? Yeah, just build 10 temples no matter what your Dominion is. It'll work out great. If you get enough territory and enough money, build temples on every single province you've got. Why not, right? It's very handy to just scale up your Dominion until you hit 10 Dominion. Then you can give up. But you do probably want all the benefit from that. Okay, so I can probably actually get to a little bit of extra mileage here if I just cast Personal Luck. Blink, is this? Just once. Okay, that's not very useful. Alright, so I'm going to try and get somewhere with this lady, attack closest, so I have her just like sit in the back of the battlefield. And I think I can probably expand. Probably. Versus someone shitty like these guys. Probably I can do it. It's in my Dominion. She's immortal anyway, so if she dies, it's not going to be a big deal for me. And I'm going to just take all these troops. This is probably more than I need to expand, probably. But, hey, you know, you're playing the fucking undead Horde, so why not really go Horde mode, right? Okay. So these guys are going to go over here and take this province. Then we're probably going to take this province. Keep in mind, these guys are flying, so they'll try and fly between your lines. So when you expand into there, you have to make sure that your units are around your pretender, or your... You have to make sure your units are around your commander, protecting him. Where do I want to go now? This way. What did he get? Heroic toughness? That's quite good. That's quite good. Alright. End turn. Sweet. And how did this go? Very well. Our Lich Queen died. Oh no. Well, that's unfortunate. Probably from not having like 30 hit points. Right? Like... She's a Furor, right? Yeah. Not bad, not bad. Slashing guys, man, those will do it every time. Damn, and the piercing dudes. See, these are exactly the kind of person who shouldn't really do much damage to her, and they just took her apart. Well, that's why the Lich, Master Lich is a little better. So, I guess if you're going the Lich Queen, I would say do not bother expanding with her, in hindsight. I hadn't tried her yet in Dominions 5. I will say, I've had a lot of expansion goofs in my videos since starting this game. I think... And I'm not the only one who's expressed this opinion, so I don't think it's just my paranoia from failing a lot. Expanding in Dominions 5 is way more dangerous than it was in Dominions 4. For whatever reason, indies feel more deadly. They've changed a variety of things about, like, small things about combat in the game, so that could be part of why. Now, let's talk about something else, which is... Well, no, I'll just do this. So, I'm going to summon an Archbishop. Can I? Oh, I can't yet. Alright, we're gonna wait a turn. Alright, end turn. Cool, these guys are doing well. New famous hero. Please tell me it's something good. Tough skin. Increased protection. Sweet. So, in either case, these guys are getting more and more badass, which is nice. Because the two of them can probably kill their way through a lot of enemy units on their own. Does this guy actually... cast spells? Unholy Blessing. Let's have him attack closest after that. I think he's got... He doesn't have a Fear Aura, actually. He's got the Chill Aura, though. They're probably okay. And this guy is going to go get the Zots now. Oh, wait. I should follow my own advice. So, since I had to send this guy back here anyway, I'll just pick up these units, and I won't have to get another commander and expansion force started. And I'll just put this guy, like, in the middle here. And this guy built a temple. We're going to build more temples. All right. Now we actually are gonna get another sensor, and then we're going to cast a ritual and get a Dusk Elder. No, not a Dusk Elder, my bad. We're gonna get an Archbishop. You probably want one or two. You probably want them early on in the game because you can just like spend their turns idly raising units, including Lictors, which are your quality sacred units, right? Okay, so I need to build some forts. Now, as most nations, you don't want to build your forts adjacent to each other. However, I would say as Ermor, or as any of these like undead nations, you probably do, because then they're close to each other for reinforcement purposes, and you don't actually need to recruit anything, so the spreading around resources is totally pointless for you. So we're going to start reanimating Lictors now. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. So I think we're almost done with this video too. So reanimating Lictors, or any of these guys, these are something any of your priests can do. I think indie priests can't do this, but any of your own priests can do this. And you can just kind of summon a ton of priests, and then you can have them do this every single turn, right? And so this guy, I think this guy, because he will do 3 Long Dead Horsemen per turn, because of his Priest 3 status. So he gets the plus part. And he can reanimate Long Dead Warriors as well. Now, Soulless and Ghouls... Soulless are probably not worth reanimating. Ghouls are, because Ghouls are not mindless, which makes them worse than your other undead in a lot of ways. However, there are spells that target non-mindless units only, and if the only units on the battlefield that aren't mindless are your commanders, your opponents can utilize the fact that... only your commanders are non-mindless to cast a bunch of those spells and kill off all your commanders, and you'll lose the battle almost immediately. And your real advantage as an undead nation is that you have like hordes of crappy troops to throw at people and slowly wear them down, and that's a way to for enemies to circumvent that. So ghouls are a good tool because of that. Soulless are mostly useless. However, they do fill up a lot of space on the battlefield, so if you need to do that for some reason, you can get Soulless. Alright, so we're going to reanimate Lictors because they're pretty quality, and we get lots of trash units anyway. So our Lich Queen came back. She didn't have any afflictions because immortality is fantastic. However, even if she had, she's also undead, and undead don't give a shit about afflictions. Afflictions, for the most part, they can lose their heads and stuff, which actually will hinder them, but it doesn't kill them. So, shrug. We're going to take this guy. He's going to wait around for a turn, right? Because he needs more units to lead. Oh yeah, also your bishops are fantastic undead leaders, and of course they can cast the big undead buffing spells. Ermor has a national spell that buffs magic resistance, so that's very handy. as well. Now, he's going to just idle. We're going to research. And you know what? I'm going to kill the like smart research for a minute. I'm going to go up construction because I want to show this off a little bit. I might have to like AFK briefly doing construction. So we're going to start summoning some more spectators, right? Which is what this guy is, which are our research mages. While we wait. Okay. So I think our battles have gone okay. This guy's a new spectator. He's going to research. This guy is going to cast Revive Spectator. All right, I've also been remiss in my duties. I need to build more temples. So remember I was talking about building Palisades. So we're going to send someone. How do we even get someone? All right, I guess we'll take indie commanders and then we can suicide them into someone else's province. It's going to take him a bit to recruit due to our bad scales, but that's okay. Let's get a couple of these guys. Yeah, we'll get a scout. We could actually use a couple scouts anyway. We'll get one over here. In a real game, building on the borders probably would be a bad idea, but we'll just recruit some anyway. Can we go that way? Oh, this is too many. We're gonna stop right here for a moment, and we're going to have this guy reanimate Solus. Remember what I said about Solus being shit? Well, this is an example of when you want to fill up the battlefield, and those guys can probably actually kill all the cavalry as long as they don't get cavalry charged and instigibbed. Okay, so boop boop boo. We're just gonna fill these guys up. So 36 units, that's an okay expansion for us. I'd like to have like 40 or 50, but it's pretty decent. In general, that's what you're gonna aim for. I've mentioned this before in some of my other videos, but Amber Clan are super dangerous. Don't fuck with them. I mean, you should fuck with them eventually, but make sure you do it with overwhelming force. So that's why I'm going to leave them the hell alone for now. Let's see here. We're continuing our summoning chain to get more research, building more temples as well. Let's see, what did I end up picking? So this is the 6th Dominion, so I want to build 10 temples still, but I want to move towards 6 temples really quick because 7 temples really quick because the 7 temples will give me 7 more death gems per turn. Then the 8th, 9th, and 9th temples will be useless, and the 10th temple finally will bump this up to Dominion 8, and then it'll actually be useful. Alright, so I'm getting 15 death gems per turn. I can probably cast a monthly ritual spell now to revive spectators. This isn't necessarily like the best plan, but it's a high research efficiency plan. I'm going for construction 6 to show off some, I think there's some national construction things I can look at, pretty sure. And otherwise, I'd probably be doing this to move towards Burden of Time. Let's see, what time is this? This is early winter in year 0. So the first year hasn't ended. We've actually expanded pretty effectively so far, and I've even had some goofs in my expansions. This is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 provinces. Not great, actually. I probably could do better, I think, normally. So this has actually been pretty good as far as reanimating Solus goes, and we're in our own Dominion now, so we got some ghouls for free. So we'll have them go over here, have these guys go up here in a big group, and let's continue our expansion. All right, this guy is going to start building a Palisades. This guy, we don't have any money at all, really. Damn. So actually, I'm going to cancel this order. So we really don't have any cash, so we don't want to waste any of it. Let's have this dude move back, have this dude move back. We're going to build just right around here is where we want to build Palisades and stuff. Here, this is a good one. Build Palisades. There we go. And we're going to work on those temples as well. Okay, so this guy's going to expand out here. We've only got a couple months left to hit 15 provinces, which is our goal, of course. So this guy's, we're not going to have any money to build temples, so we're just going to have him summon long dead warriors. That's pretty decent. Okay, so this guy's kind of a tough spot. That's okay. So something you can do as Ermor that you can't really do as other nations, as a lot of non-undead nations, you want to kind of expand in a circle around your capital. Especially you want to take the cap circle to get more resources, right? However, we're going to use this free leader we got to try and do something useful. Ermor doesn't care about that, right? Because you don't care about resources, and so you don't care about taking your cap circle. So I haven't really been doing it, but you can, in a multiplayer game, expand out in like a straight line. And then you can expand out in a straight line going the other direction. And you can kind of use this to reach your opponents more quickly than you normally would be able to. And you can, in turn, use that. Can I not move over there? You can use that to, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of scoop up areas of land. For example, I could expand out, like, at the beginning of the game, I could expand out like this and go over to, like, here, right? Let's say there's someone else over there and their capital's, like, right there. That wouldn't actually happen, but let's say that's the case. Then I could say, like, I could talk to this player and say, like, hey, let's have a peace agreement. They probably don't want to do that because I'm Ermor, but let's say they do. They don't want to fight me at early game. And I say, okay, great, we've got a peace agreement, and then I expand over this way, right? I meet another player over here, right? And I've just expanded in this weird line with all these other provinces left alone. And I say, hey, let's make a peace agreement. And then I expand back this way, and then I take this province and like this province over here and these water provinces. And so you can kind of like scoop out areas like that. You can do this probably more effectively over here, where I could expand right out along the coast here and then like loop around and then like kind of carve out this area. So there's like this bubble of like 4 provinces in the middle. And then after the normal expansion stage, I could scoop them up. And because my dominion would already be over those provinces, they'd already get ruined and die pretty quickly, especially if my prophet was leading that army and he was spreading dominion from himself the whole time, right? Okay, so where were we at? We were at ending a turn. Okay. This has actually gone a lot longer than I kind of expected it to, but that's probably good, right? Let's just think of it as a good thing that I make really long videos. They're in-depth, very in-depth, guys. It's good. It's good. It's totally good. Did I not move this guy? That's what I didn't do. All right. Well, he's got a lot more. He's got a lot more dudes now. These are mostly. These are like, not mostly. These are 100% trash. There's a sorceress there, huh? I'm gonna move this guy over here and grab those units. This guy, don't have any money yet, so he's gonna build us a Palisades eventually, but we don't have any money. Did someone die in this group? All right, whatever. Let's expand this way, just because those look weak. That's my only real thought process there. We're gonna expand. We're gonna take one of these guys over here. We got a lot of random spots. Leave that one there. This guy, we're gonna move him over here. Move him back towards the center a little bit. Research. Why'd they stop reanimating dudes? Cast ritual spell. Monthly ritual. Revive spectator. Keep it up, man. Keep it up. All right. So I think, what are we? Winter in year 0. We've got a couple more turns left. We want to take some of these like nasty fat provinces and kill them. All right, so one more turn. That's success. Okay, so we've hit our goal of like 15 provinces expansion. And actually, it's late winter now, and I'm probably going to be able to expand a couple more places. Those are probably too dangerous, a little bit spooky. If I got any extra stuff here, like, yeah, this is not too terrible. That I probably can't do that. That's too hard, a bit too hard. What about what's over here? Some Hoburg militias. Will undead be able to fight Hoburgs? Hoburgs can be deceptively annoying sometimes. So there's that to worry about. Let's just expand over here. Let's expand in here. So kind of got a mix. Hold on, I gotta actually put all these guys under his command. If I can. You can't. Yeah. Fuck. Well, that's probably fine. This is like a big horde up here, and we'll just put these guys back here as like defense. They're like the, I don't even know what to call that. Like the linebackers? I don't know football references. I was gonna try and make a football reference. I don't know any. I don't do sports except for esports. All right. Let's keep researching. Our research is terrible. It's terrible. The monthly ritual thing is not working. All right, that's cool. It's totally cool. Maybe that's a Illwinter fix. Please fix. I don't know why it's not working. All right, let's end the turn and see if we actually win this battle. All right. Yeah, the Pegasus Rider is very annoying, but our commanders didn't die, so I'm not sure we care. We'll just go at them again. All right. We got like let's select these two guys. You know what I actually do? Oh wait, no, hold on. Ah, fuck. I don't know if there's a good way to deselect. All right, so let's select all the ghouls, put them over there, and the rest of these guys are all mindless, so we can like shift select and just put these guys all over here. Yeah, all right. Fuck it. We'll keep everyone in the middle. We don't even need battle orders, do we? Right? Like the AI can handle this for us. These are just fucking zombies. We don't need to get all special or anything. So at this point in this game, if this was a multiplayer game, I don't think I'd be able to get much else because I didn't populate this with AIs enough, and they're not aggressive enough anyway to really like make up for players. Crap! Can I actually? So like, oh, I've created a band across the whole world. So I never would have been able to pull this off in a real game, probably. I could have gotten 15 provinces, of course, but I probably would have had to turn around at some point in a couple of these places and loop back in and not fuck with other players to avoid, like, you know, starting the dog pile on Ermor too early, because it totally would get started eventually. Sooner or later. Sooner probably than later. Let's see, what else do I need to cover in terms of like general Ermor advice? You're gonna have a difficult time. I just don't recommend this nation in multiplayer at all, because people are gonna want to kill you off like super hard, and it's gonna be very hard to overcome that. In the past, you could go like triple bless Ermor, and I don't think there's like a good triple bless Ermor that you can do now that like stacks up to what you could do in the past. And you'd be able to use that to kind of like keep people off of you, right? I don't think you can do that now. I think you just get killed, probably, realistically speaking. If you're playing with if you're like new and you're playing with a bunch of other new players, you think you could probably be an asshole and use the fact that you've watched this video to your advantage, assuming none of them realize how annoying Ermor is going to be, and you can go in and act super friendly and just try and make peace with everyone and sit around until you can cast Burden of Time and ruin the game. Except maybe be nice to everyone except maybe like one player, right? Like pick someone and just murder them in the mid-early game, because you can probably do that if you pick the right person, right? A human nation that doesn't have like lots of astral, lots of priest, no astral, no priest threes, no like big fire magic or nature, like earth magic, not too super good versus undead. I mean, it's good in general, except for earthquake. It's quite good. You know, all the magic paths are good. What am I saying? There's some particularly nasty anti-undead things that people can do with like nature astral, and death magic itself, actually. Wow, we just got schooled by everything except this one crystal priestess. I'm a fuck up. God, barbarians. All right, and now we're in spring, year 1. So this is probably where we stop here. How many provinces did we end up getting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fuck, am I double counting this? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14? 15? Is there a 15th one in here? Fuck, I don't know. It's alright. It's not great. It definitely could have gone better, I think. Probably I should have been more aggressive about summoning censors and maybe some acolytes early on. And what you could do is you could summon some like acolytes or even archbishops or regular bishops. And what you would do is, instead of this guy, I've been having reanimate lictors, right? Well, what you could do is have them reanimate Solus, right? And it's like, that's a shitload of Solus per turn. So you get one of these guys early on, have them reanimate Solus, then summon some extra censors, and you have the censors lead out the shitty Solus, and then you can have like a, if you spend the turns, it's like, I don't know, turn early on when I revive this Dusk Elder, right? You don't do that. Turn 3, revive an Archbishop, right? Turn 4, 5, you revive another Archbishop, right? And they're cheap enough that you should about at the same time be able to revive one censor, and then you revive a censor every turn. And you have both Archbishops summon Solus, so they're reviving like 24 to 30 Solus every single turn, and that's enough that you can send out a censor along with your free spawn probably every single turn. And I would do that, and I would expand very aggressively. And what you do is, once you've expanded out really far, right, you're gonna have stepped on the toes of some other players. And if it's versus the AI, just like fight them, right? But versus players in a real game, you're gonna step on some toes, and they're gonna say like, "Hey, you know, like I'm not comfortable with Ermor being that close to my capital," and you'd be very nice, and you say like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Why don't you take these 3 provinces here? You know, like the along this border, and I'll just retreat back a bit, right? And you just be nice and you let them do that, and except for, you know, whoever it is you want to just shit fight with, and try and get in an area of like, in a normal game, there should be 15 provinces per player. You should aim for a little bit more than that, but not too much more, because you don't want to seem like too much of a threat. Take like 18 provinces for yourself, or like 20 provinces for yourself, if you can. Preferably, you know, you should slant those all towards like taking provinces a little bit closer to whoever it is you want to start a fight with, right? Look at the other nations in the game and see who you think you can probably fight more easily, right? And start a fight with them. So, like, for example, just not Marignan. Don't do Marignan. It's a bad idea. Don't try. I mean, I guess I don't know if I can give really good advice on who you should fight without like knowing a specific game. But don't do Marignan. They have special and anti-undead stuff. It's a terrible idea. Other than that, you know, you're on your own. But it's probably a good idea, and that way you could expand out faster. I think that's probably a little bit better idea than what I actually showed off in this video. And build up your temples. You're going to have some serious gold issues. Ermor always had gold issues, but they probably have more gold issues now than they ever did before. So you really want to build up your temples. You want to make them all as close to your capital as possible, so they're easier to defend, right? You don't want to build stuff on your borders, because if you lose it, it's really bad for you because it's expensive, right? So you want to build temple, palisades, temple, palisades, temple, palisades, temple, palisades, right? All around your capital. And you want to keep going out into a ring until you have 10, right? Now, you might not be able to build 10 palisades, but at least you should get like, you know, 7 temples, right? You're going to want at least 7 temples, and you should build palisades over as many of them as possible. Build the temples first, then the palisades. Protect them with units until you can protect them with palisades. Then start upgrading the palisades, starting with the ones closest in towards your capital. I don't know. Focus on like getting a couple archbishops to spawn more units in the very early game, and then focus on research. I'm going to just pass turn a few times so we can look at items, and then that's going to be it for Ermor. Let's see. We're gonna just cast ritual spell. Boop. We're just gonna revive a bunch of spectators. Cool. Research. All right. Your research is, by the way, is probably not going to be very good compared to other nations, even with Magic 3. There are some things you can do to offset that, like there's these skulls you can craft at high construction that give you more research, but they're like high enough. They're either 4 or 6 construction, and it's a pretty awkward amount. It's gonna make you very sad, because you don't want to invest that much into construction, right? Before you invest in thaumaturgy, and before you invest in enchantment. Like 4 construction, okay, sure. 6 construction, that's pretty far. We're going there because I want to look at some of this stuff. Okay, so forge magic items. So let's see, where's the Ermor specific stuff? Let's see if I can find it. So Skull Mentor, this is only level 4, so this is totally viable. 14 research bonus, 10 death gems. I think it is actually better than... Yeah, it's probably not worth it. Those guys are only 12 death gems, and that's another mage for your army, so I would actually recommend definitely not making any of those. Stone idols. Of course, one thing I have not been showing, because I'm a little bit lazy, is I did not show sending out mages to site search. Obviously, you should be site searching as every nation. Ermor in particular, you probably will site search with your pretender. It loses you a lot of research, but here it is. This is Monty Forge Lictor summoning bonus with the revive Lictor. So you would craft this. If you had a bless build, especially, you might craft this and then summon Lictors with your spectators, right? Using the revive Lictor spell. Is there another one like that? I don't think so. I think that's it. I'd have to look in Dom Inspector, and making a video of Dom Inspector, because it's a website, is a little bit awkward. Although I'm going to have to do it someday, because of doing a guide to magic items is going to be tricky. Let's see. Is there another one? I don't think there's. I think it's just the Black Laurel. I'm not sure they have any other national items, but I could be wrong. Probably not any others that are actually relevant to this discussion, at least. Yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, the Black Laurel. This is if you're doing a bless build. If you're not doing a bless build, don't even bother. Probably. And as for other magic items that are good for the nation, I'm not sure. Obviously, there's the Skull Staff. Your Pretender is going to enable you to make Skull Face, which gives you a death magic bonus. So you can get, especially for your Pretender, you can get Skull Face, you can get Skull Staff. That's +2 death magic in total. So with your Pretender, you'll be able to get up to 8-9 death magic, which is going to give you some like seriously awesome options for what kind of death spells you can cast. There's not a ton of really cool death items in general, but those are pretty great. All right, so I think that. Does that cover everything? I think that covers everything. Yeah. I was going to say anything else about Ermor. Oh, yeah. There's one other thing. Your Palisades. Yeah. These dudes. These are your, like, national free spawn, right? They're different from just soulless undead. In the sense that they're better in every way. They just get better equipment. They have better basic stats, right? So you really want them. They only spawn, and I think is this a sacred too? Yeah, and your sacreds as well. So your sacreds and those guys spawn. I don't think they need your sacreds might need a temple to be there, but I don't think your normal units do. Your normal units only spawn. Your normal superior undead units only spawn in provinces with Palisades. I don't know if upgrading them to forts really makes a difference. If you do end up with some extra treasury space, which you will eventually if you survive for a long time, I would recommend upgrading these. I believe you can upgrade them to fortresses. You might be able to upgrade them to castles. Ermor gets like a pretty high level of fortress. So pretty good idea, I would say, because people are going to try and siege them down. You're good at resisting sieges. There's a good chance that multiple players will like team up on you because they hate Ermor. So you're going to want to prepare for that. Another thing to mention is the national spells, right? Like I already mentioned, Lictorian Guard, kind of useful. Well, if you go farther up here, there's some really good ones like Great Lamentation, right? Summons a bunch of Wailing Ladies. They are sacred units. They have fear auras. I believe they fly and are ethereal, if I remember correctly. They're super spooky. Lictorian Legion, also very nice. 25 lictors for 35 death gems. Very efficient. These are mostly good if you're doing a bless build. However, the Wailing Ladies are probably good even if you're not doing a bless build. They're not necessarily very efficient, but they're very powerful, so they can potentially be useful despite not being efficient for the fact that they're like elite troops, right? Similar thing for Ermorian Legion. It's not very good most of the time, but it's fairly cheap. 15 death gems, right? You can fairly easily have, like, what did I get up to? 13 death gems without even trying, from a combination of temples and other stuff. Like, what is it from temples right now? This has it listed in here somewhere. 4 death gems per month from temples. That's way too low. I should be getting 7, right? I could get 7 death gems per month per temple from temples, and then if I had searched all these provinces, I'd probably be getting a good amount more. So instead of 13, I could probably very easily get like over 20, right? Maybe 25. And so at that point, like when we're talking about recruiting your more elite undead units, 50 of them for 15 death gems might not be super efficient when you get them as free spawn, and you could be getting mages or something, but you can cast those rituals when you're under siege, if I recall correctly from the last time I tried to do this. And so you can kind of like bulk up a force, and you can do it very quickly if you have a couple mages, right? I think that was only death 2, so you've got like 4 of these mages. You can summon up 200 troops in one turn. That's very useful utility-wise. Also, I forgot, you do indeed get, this guy's a special unit, you do indeed get fire magic, which I believe lets you do some Bane Fire stuff if you go up Evocation. So Evocation is good for you as well. Alright, so closing statements. This nation is very hard to play in multiplayer because it kind of was dependent on having an uber powerful bless from the advantage it has of being able to take super negative scales, kind of needing to take super negative scales. However, In Dominions 5, blesses are generally, for the most part, less powerful, except for some stupid, awesome interactions, meaning that blesses are not as good for Ermor as they used to be. You also now start at Death 3, and taking less than Death 3 is a penalty for you, which means that you have less points available to you. I'm not sure if anything else has really changed to screw you over more as Ermor. Otherwise, it's much the same. Pretender selection is pretty decent. Blesses for Pretender is kind of a nice perk, allowing you to take some interesting Awake Pretenders. But overall, things have kind of gone to shit for Ermor, but they were actually fairly strong in Dominions 4, so it's not necessarily unwarranted. The Death Gems from Temples thing is new, but you have to really like work it to get good value out of that. And so the end result is that they're quite good in single player if you like playing versus the AI. I think you'll find this a fairly easy nation to play, and it's rather enjoyable in that you get to do the whole hordes of undead thing, and generally, you know, like roleplay running amok as an evil necromancer. If you're playing versus players, it can be a very tough experience because they're going to want to team up on you for good reason. So it's kind of like a you against the world thing where you're not necessarily playing like a powerhouse nation before, so very dangerous situation to be in. And I don't necessarily recommend avoiding weak nations in Dominions 4 multiplayer or Dominions 5 multiplayer. I like playing nations that kind of suck sometimes. However, if you get run over in the early game, whether or not you like playing the underdog, it's not very much fun, and it makes it not really a great option for beginners because it's going to be tricky, both in people skills and in actual playing the game skills, to avoid death early on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed and you like playing the nation as much as I do, because I love Hordes of Undead, although I've only played it once in multiplayer, I think. Yeah. Anyway, have a nice day. Yakari out.